Hey YouTube, today I'm showing you guys how to install the Anycubic Vyper Community Edition onto your Anycubic Vyper. There's some things I have to say before I start the tutorial. Number one, this video is only showcasing my experience with installing the firmware. Your experience may be different. Two, the firmware updates have been known to sometimes cause issues with the printer itself, with the extreme side of that being that your printer becomes bricked, or in other words, it breaks. Mine didn't become bricked, but I can't say the same for yours, so do it at your own risk. Updating the firmware usually voids any warranties you have with the printer, so if you break it, you can't get a replacement for it unless you pay it back full. If you aren't comfortable with that, I don't suggest you do this. 4, I updated my firmware to the Community Edition 6.1D. This is from a couple of years back. This is not CE 6.2. If you want the Community Edition 6.2, you can probably just use the 6.2 files instead of using the 6.1 files and follow the guide at the same time. But I can't guarantee everything will be fine, so do that if you want, but it's up to you. And 5, I did not create these files. They worked for me, but download them at your own risk. And that's about it. One thing you should already have is the 8GB SD card, or any gigabyte SD card. If you're already printing, you should be using this all the time. Same with the micro SD card and the adapter. You're gonna need something to connect them into the computer so you can upload the files to them. Again, I'm sure you know how to do that. You're gonna need the actual files, and you're gonna need a partitioning tool, which I linked in the description. Both of those things. Once you have the big SD card in there, so not the small one, but the big one, in terms of physical size, you want to format it. So we're gonna do that right now. You're gonna right click it. Format has to be these settings right here, FAT32, 4,996 bytes, whatever that number is. The capacity has to be below, I think, 8 gigabytes in order to format it to FAT32. You just start, right? You say okay, and it formats it. So that's the first part done. So now what you gotta do is you have to partition your small micro SD card. That's not the big one, this is a small one. You insert the small one into a card reader, and you insert that into your PC, and you should be able to see this. This is the MiniTool partition wizard that I linked in the description. You just gotta open it up, install it, all that. Once you get to this page, you click this guy right here. Click Create Partition. Partition label can be anything. I'm just gonna name mine X since it really doesn't matter. You make this guy 4 gigabytes. 4. You click OK. Then you click Apply. Yes. I think it's just because I had applications open. This is good. Okay. Now you exit that. Now that you've got that done, you go to this guy, which I guess it does matter what you name him. File, format, FAT32. It should see 399 now. FAT32, right, instead of this one. So FAT32, 4,996. You click Start, and that should be it. Now it's time for the fun part. So what you gotta do now is you have to download all these files. So click this, download, this, download. This guy's gonna give you a false positive. When you download it, it's gonna say it's blocked. It is, but like you have to just download it as is. And yeah. So I forgot to mention this. The files you put into these drives should be the only files in the drives, right? So for example, the MB, the one you just put into the old removable disk, should have been the only one in there. So like nothing else should have been in the removable disk but the motherboard BIN drive. Yeah. So now we're going to take the LCD file, you're going to take Darwin set, you're going to put it into the micro SD card. And again, this should be the only one in there, as with the old one. I wanted to apologize for that being very confusing. That was not my intent for it to be confusing, but yeah, as you can see here, the micro SD card has Darwin set in it, nothing else. And then the big SD card has the BIN file, nothing else. They should be the only ones in there. Once you have the BIN folder on your SSD and your Darwin set folder on the micro SSD, you push the SSD into here. Make sure the printer is off during all this, by the way. You don't want to have it on. You take the micro SSD and you push it into here, the tiny slot. Once you have the micro SD card in there, you're going to know this. You probably can't push it up, right? So you're going to need the Allen wrench, the smallest one, to like really push it in there. You should hear a click, and that should be like out of sight. And then you know you've got it then. You got to make sure you don't push it under the slot, like when you're aiming to like get it in, because then it just gets like enlarged in there, and that's no good. When you power on your printer again, you're either going to get the good screen or the bad screen. The good screen, shown on the left, has output, downloads, it has end, has a bunch of numbers. You want your screen to look like that. It means everything went well. If you get the screen on the right, which is the bad screen, it usually means you can either format the cards correctly, or you can put all the files in there, or you can put the cards fully into the printer. If that happens, let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to reach out to you and help you out. Once the blue screen says end, you take out the SSD. Imagine this guy's on, by the way. The printer technically is supposed to be on at this stage. You take out the SSD, you turn off the printer. Mine's already turned off. Then you turn it back on without the SSD inside of it. The big guy could stay in. And yeah, you've downloaded the Anycubic Community Edition. Hopefully it shows up on your screen. The issue here is going to be that it probably doesn't work, the screen itself. You can't touch anything. So we're going to be fixing that now. So now what we're going to want to do is you're going to want to take the micro SD card with the Darwin set in it, put it back on your computer, right? Open it back up. Click on Darwin set. Take all of this. Massive delete moment. Take it all out. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to take the config you downloaded earlier. What is it called? This guy. Copy him. And put them into Darwin set as the only file in that folder. Once you have your config on your micro SD, you push it back into here like this. Remember, it should be the only file on your folder, the config. You push it in there. You can now take out the big SD and do with it as you please. You can keep the files on there, or you can just take them off and use it again. Doesn't matter. And yeah, now you turn back on the printer, and I'll tell you what happens next. Once you turn on your printer, the blue screen should pop up again. It should be a bunch of zeros, and it should say 001 and done. That means that downloaded everything, it's good. So then you have to calibrate it. And you do that by pressing the top left corner, then the top right corner, then the bottom right corner, then the bottom left corner, in that order. After you do all that, white dots should appear on each of the places you tapped. Once you see the white dots, you should be good to go. You can now power off the printer and take out the micro SD card. So now you can power this guy on, right? A loading bar should pop up. The song plays, and now you have the Vyper Community Edition. So you can now touch the buttons, you can use everything, right? Calibrate it, bed leveling. You can now use the Z offset and have it be like micro adjustments. Very good. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. If you have any questions, like I said, let me know. If you need any help, let me know. I don't have all the time in the world, but I can always attempt to help you out. I should be able to, hopefully. And yeah, thanks for watching this video. I appreciate it. All right.